Welcome to the Witchy Work Wishes podcast, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. Welcome to Witchy Work Wishes. We are calling all green witches today and those who strive to be. And we are rolling up our sleeves and getting our hands nice and dirty in the earth element with plant magic. On today's episode, we're going to talk about roses and rosebud magic, continuing a little of our, love theme from last week's Spells and Potions podcast. Since today, as this airs, it is in fact Valentine's Day. But first, some things I did over the weekend in my own personal practice. Signs, here we are again, and I had another wonderful opportunity to recognize them. I really am trying to stay open to all of them. This past weekend, I went on a little adventure nature walk with Annika, and we brought our herb books, our mushroom identifiers, our shears and bags to collect things, and we headed out on a nice 3-mile walk. Annika and I both collected fur from our dogs' shedding coats, and she made a very special wine and cinnamon mixture, as well as wrote up something very nice to say to Hecate as we gave the offerings at each crossroad we encountered. And of course, this was all to honor Hecate and the wildlife spirits. Now, it was hard to take everything in on our walk. There was so much to absorb on the nature walk, but we did. The most beautiful fluffy bumblebee was buzzing around us for a little bit. We saw a strong, healthy buck, lots and lots of birds, even a cute little hummingbird. I, of course, was hyper-focused on some pine cones, which I did take with me, but we foraged and we gathered and we talked, and it was amazing. There was one spot which looked like something right out of the Witcher series to me. It honestly called to both of us. And while it was not a crossroad, we definitely were drawn to give a specific offering of words and fur and wine right there. Many of the fallen dead trees created this circle, which looked honestly just like a portal. And it was huge, 14 feet across, 25 feet deep, huge, honestly, probably bigger than that. But we had to stop and be there, just be there. We took a moment and connected with Hecate, with offerings for her and the earth. And the entire walk was a perfect connection to the earth element. When we got back to the car, we spread out all of our amazing cuttings out in the back and reviewed it. We identified everything and divvied it up. As we were doing this, all of a sudden, an all-black dog came running up to us. Her collar was on. She actually had a leash, still attached. She clearly got away from somebody and ran right up to us. Annika's eyes got so big. This is a sign, she said. This is a sign. So one of Hecate's animals is an all-black dog. And here she was, right in front of us. So we took that as a welcoming sign that the crossroad offerings were accepted. Now, later, upon getting home and opening my mail and packages, I was pleasantly surprised to find a sample little vial of perfume called Hecate from an Etsy order I had made last week. I mean, what timing? How perfect. So Annika and I are already planning our next adventure, so I'll be sure to keep you posted. But we got a lot of good things from our foraging and gathering walk. Now, I am a football mom. Both of my boys, played when they were really little. My younger son went on to play water polo, and my older son continued on with football through college. So I am watching the Super Bowl later today. So now you're going to know I'm taping this Sunday morning. And here's another sign. Just as I wrote that, my younger son called. What timing. I love catching up with him every Sunday. That's literally our day. All right, so today we get to play in the dirt with the earth element as we talk about plant magic. All right, what does it mean to be a green witch and work with plant magic? Well, the green witch will focus on the earth element for sure, but the practice really does blend into the forest and cottage witch, maybe a little sprinkling of fairy witchcraft and the kitchen witch. But in general, a green witch will really be drawn to and want to work with the earth element. It is a nature-based section of our craft that really works with herbs and plants and the natural cycles of our seasons. And gardening is a biggie, right? Along with herbalism. But the act of working with these properties really is about a connection to nature and helping to preserve it. Now, you could totally love gardening and not call yourself a green witch, right? Our lovely eclectic style is the beauty of our practice. So green witch or not, today is one for our plant magic series. And today is all about roses and rosebud magic. So let's talk about the actual rose plant first and what we can do to have it in our gardens and on our patios. The best time to plant a rose bush really does depend on the climate and the type of roses that you are wanting to plant. In general, the recommended time for planting roses is going to be during the dormant season. Now, this is typically late winter to early spring, possibly late fall if you're in a warmer climate area. Now, there are pretty much two ways to get your roses, either bare root or container grown. So the bare root roses are going to be your dormant, unplanted roses that are sold without soil, if you guys have seen those before. So the ideal time to plant a bare root rose is going to be in the late winter and early spring, just before they start to break their dormancy. This is usually, when the soil is workable, but not frozen. So container grown roses, those are, just as I say, they're actually roses that are already kind of pre-grown in containers, and they can be planted in the garden throughout the growing season. However, again, we've got our optimal times. That is still going to be that late winter, early spring, and again, late fall if you're in a warmer area. But planting during these periods really is going to allow the rose bushes to establish their roots before the stress of the summer heat or the winter cold comes on. Now, climatic considerations, in areas that really have harsh winters, planting in early spring is going to be your best option. It really does give the roses the best chance. In regions with mild winters, you probably could get away with, fall planting because they're still going to be able to get settled and established before the winter comes. Either way, we really want to avoid extreme temperatures, right? Just don't plant during the dead heat of summer or during the freezing cold of winter. Now, roses in warmer climates, where the winters really are mild, like where I'm at and for a lot of California, you may have that more extended planting window. However, I would still stick to the basics. Just go late winter, early spring. Definitely consider where you're going to be placing your rose bush or plant. The location matters, how much sun they're going to get. We want to make sure our roses have well-draining soil and that they have a pot or space big enough so that they can grow. Proper preparation of, the soil, including maybe adding some organic matter, it really does help for the success of your rose garden. Always, though, follow the specific guidelines provided by the nursery or the supplier where you purchased your rose from. Now, for pruning roses, this is really going to be done during their dormant season. Now, pruning roses really is an essential part of their care, and the timing for cutting back roses depends greatly on the type of rose and your local climate. However, general guideline for pruning roses is, again, going to be in that late winter, early spring timeline, right before that new growth starts. So some key points to consider on pruning is really going to be, one, the dormant season, right? That's going to be our best time to prune most of our roses. I would also consider the climate. In colder climates where winter temperatures, are going to be really harsh, it's really advisable to wait until early spring just to protect them. In milder climates where, temperatures are not as severe, like me, pruning can be done in late winter and again that early spring. So the type of rose is going to depend too. We've got our hybrid, teas and floribundas. I just love that word, floribunda. These types of roses are often pruned more heavily, right? You're going to really get in there. They've got long shoots. I think they're called canes. You really want to cut those back to encourage new growth and kind of shape the rose plant how you want it to grow. Now, shrub roses, those are generally going to require less aggressive pruning. We always want to remove, dead or damaged wood and, of course, shape the plant as needed again. But regardless of what type of rose it is, even if you're going back for the hybrid, floribunda, and the shrubs, you always want to remove the dead stuff, any diseased wood, or things like that. If you have repeat bloomers, those type of roses, you may also want to do some light pruning after that first flush of blooms in late spring or early summer. This really does kind of help encourage the plant to give a second round of flowering, which we all want. Now, for climbing roses, those guys probably depends on their type again, whether that climbing rose is going to be blooming or repeat bloomer, or like a one-time bloomer or repeat bloomer. For the one-time bloomers, those kind of climbing roses, I would probably prune right after flowering. For the repeat bloomers, you could just do that again. It's going to take less, but it's going to be like that late winter, early spring is probably going to be okay. So always use, if you can, clean, sharp pruning tools, make clean cuts. Try that 45-degree angle cut if you can, just above an outward facing bud. But specific varieties of roses have different pruning needs. It really is a good idea to consult, again, with your local gardening resource or follow, some general guidelines. Do your research. Okay, so we have our rose plant. We know how to prune it and kind of care for it. Let's talk about the ways we can now work with the plant in our practices. How can we use a rose in witchcraft? So roses have been associated with various magical and symbolic meanings in different cultures throughout history. I mentioned them in last week's episode about potions and spells. In witchcraft, roses really are used for a variety of magical purposes. And our most popular one, especially since today, as this airs, it is Valentine's Day, is going to be love spells. Roses are often associated with love and passion. You can use rose petals or rose oil and love spells to enhance romantic feelings, to attract a specific person, or to strengthen, an existing relationship. Creating a love charm or sachet with dried rose petals is also common in our practice. There's also protection, though. The thorns, kind of think about cat claws with this, but the thorns of roses can be seen as a protective element. You can use rose thorns in spells or rituals for protection, creating, that barrier against negative energies or influences. Rose petals and roses in general can be used in divination. They can be used with like scrying, maybe using rose petals in tarot readings, meditating, of course, with roses, or even incorporating the image of a rose into divination tools to enhance our intuitive abilities. We can use roses for cleansing and purification. Rose water, lots of people love this, or rose-infused oils can be used in purification rituals for sure. Sprinkle rose water in your home. You can use it on magical tools to cleanse and purify the energy. This really can be helpful in rituals related to self-love and personal, purification. But we could also use roses in psychic development. Placing rose petals like under your pillow or using rose-infused products during meditation and divination can really help enhance our psychic awareness. Now, love and healing with roses, absolutely. Self-love. Now, self-love and healing with roses, oh yes, please. Roses are often linked to self-love and healing and used in spells and rituals focused on our own personal self-care, our own personal nurturing, and healing our emotional wounds. You can create a bath ritual with rose petals, or even use rose quartz crystals in connection with the roses to promote our self-love. We could also use roses to attract positive energy, right? They're known for their beauty and their positive vibes. So use romances on your altar and spell work to attract just general positive, loving energy, prosperity, and happiness. All right, what about rose buds? So rosebuds in witchcraft magic, I think we're really going to want to focus on young love, not age-wise young love, but like newness, the newness and romance and young stage of love with rosebuds. Rosebuds being the young and delicate blooms of the rose, right? It mirrors that energy. They hold their own set of magical associations. So first one, starting off with love spells again, I would say rosebuds, Like mature roses are often associated with love, but we can use them to attract new love, enhance romantic feelings, and again, always strengthen existing relationships. We can put them in a charm bag or a sachet, using dried rosebuds and other elements. I think we can use rosebuds, the little baby rosebuds, in divination too. Again, to that scrying, maybe even tea leaf reading. That would be fun. I have not done that one. But we can scatter rosebuds on a divination surface or brew them into a tea for divinatory purposes, especially related to matters of the heart. I think we can use rosebuds in dream magic. Again, placing them under our pillow, either in a sachet, something to enhance dreams related to love, romance, and matters of the heart. And they can be used to promote dream recall, which I'm really focusing on, and intuitive insights during sleep. Spiritual growth with rosebuds, absolutely. We can use them in rituals or spells focused on personal development, our own personal spiritual growth, and positive changes in our lives. Protection spells, it's going to be a little different, I think, for rosebuds. They are such a young, innocent stage. Oh, hi, that bug. But rosebuds for protection spells is going to be tough because there's probably not going to be any thorns on a stem with a rosebud yet. Maybe little ones though. But you could still use them in a protective charm or sachet, to ward off negative energies or anything unwanted influences. For purification and cleansing, our little rosebuds, I think, are going to do great. Think of that like the gentle and the pure energy of rosebuds, which really are going to help cleanse a space. Certainly can work with our ritual tools and even ourselves. Love rituals, yes, absolutely. Since rosebuds symbolize the early stages of love, they can be used in rituals that focus on self-love and self-care. Consider maybe incorporating rosebuds into a bath or skincare ritual to promote our own self-love and beauty. Let's see, what about magical potions and elixirs? I definitely would use rosebuds here. Put it in our teas, our oils, our water. We can create magical potions and elixirs with them. I think they're just amazing. Use these concoctions, of course, in your rituals for various magical purposes, such as love, beauty, and healing. And altar decoration. Place fresh or dried rosebuds on your altar as a symbol of love, as a symbol of beauty and spiritual growth. They definitely can add a visual appealing and fragrant touch to our sacred altars. What are some other ways, that we can use rosebuds and rose petals in our practices? Well, really, we've got like crafts, right? Decorations, food, and other spiritual things that we can do. For crafts and decorations, I don't know if anybody really does potpourri anymore, but that was really popular a long time ago. But potpourri is actually, hi, bug. It's actually dried, rosebuds and then combining them with other fragrant herbs and flowers. But just don't think those are very popular anymore. But we can definitely make like sachets with dried rosebuds, to scent our dresser drawers and closets with. Press rosebuds between the pages of a book to preserve them for decorations later. Let's see, culinary uses. I don't use a lot of roses in my kitchen cooking, but you definitely can make like a rosebud tea. That's going to be very calming and have that nice little floral flavor to it. You can use rosebuds in things like, I think all rose petals are, double check this, do not quote me. I think all rose petals are edible. So you can definitely use them on like desserts. You can make syrups out of them or even jams, right? To add that kind of subtle floral note to your kitchen witchcraft. For beauty and skincare, I know many people like rose water to spray on their face, but you can make rose infused oils by steeping rosebuds in a carrier oil. This can later be used like a facial oil or even like a homemade skincare product. So create a natural rose water by steeping, if that's what you're going for, by steeping rosebuds in distilled water, and then use it as a facial toner or refreshing spritz of sorts. Now, for other spiritual and magical practices, gosh, I don't know, just having roses around, I just think it generally attracts love, it promotes self-love, and it kind of creates that romantic feeling. That could just be years and years of lots of repetitive, reinforced love connection with roses. But I just think having a bouquet of roses in the home just automatically makes it feel a little bit more romantic. You could always scatter rosebuds on the altar, just fresh rosebuds, just kind of pull them apart. Use them in rituals for purity, innocence, certainly the potential for growth and transformation. And honestly, you could just grab some rosebuds and place them in a bowl of water. You don't have to have the stems right on the, on the altar, just to smile at as you walk by, kind of an uplifting focal point. For aromatherapy, we can definitely add rosebuds and rose petals to like scented candles, or even like the little simmering pot for kind of that natural and calming fragrance. It's going to be super light, which is going to be great for spring. Now, bath rituals and rose petals and rosebuds, this is so fun and so romantic and great for self-care. We can create kind of that soothing and aromatic bath by adding dried rosebuds to the bath water along with bath salts or oils that we need. It's just going to look inviting. And certainly you can crush, after you've dried some of your rose petals, you can crush them or kind of grind them down and then add them into bath salts. That would look super, super pretty. And then the other one, divination, which we mentioned before, but, incorporating rosebuds into divination practices such as, the tea leaf reading or scrying, those are going to be great. And it really is kind of a gentle energy the rosebuds are going to enhance our intuitive insights with. Now, I know I mentioned rose water, but it really is pretty simple. If I can circle back to that real quick, it really is pretty simple to do. We can use it for spray for our face. We can add it to our homemade soaps. We can use it in our baking by adding it to our recipes. But honestly, to make your own rose water is super easy. You're just going to steep rose petals, just like you would steep the tea leaves, and then distill them. That's it. That's rose water. Now, rose hips are something a little different. To me, they almost look like little tomatoes. They are actually a fruit from a flowering rose bush. Now, most of us with rose bushes are going to cut the beautiful flowers so we can either enjoy them in our home or dry them to use later in our craft, right? But if you leave the flower, the rose, on the plant will eventually produce and grow little rose hips, which are kind of like seed pods, like the fruit. If you have that type of patience, oh my goodness, kudos to you. But you do have to leave the roses on the bush and let them die there. If you actually can do that and you can leave the dead roses on your bush through winter, there are so many great things you can do with rose hips, especially in our kitchen witchcraft. We have syrups, jellies, and sauces, rose hip tea, of course, lots and lots of good uses. All right, what about roses in the workplace and bringing that plant magic into our corporate worlds? We know love is not exclusive to romance and partners. Love has so many levels to it, and love in the corporate workplace is very, very much needed, just like it's needed in all areas of our lives. Using roses at work can involve incorporating their energy, their symbolism, or even their physical presence just to enhance our jobs. All right, what about decoration? Super easy, right? Place a small vase of fresh roses at your desk, and I really think this visual beauty and that subtle fragrance can create such a positive and pleasant atmosphere. Aromatherapy at work? Absolutely. We can use rose essential oil. We can use a rose-scented diffuser even, to infuse your workspace with that calming and uplifting fragrance. Honestly, the scent of rose is often associated with stress relief and relaxation. For symbolism at work, consider the symbolic meaning of roses at your work. Red roses may symbolize passion and dedication, while white roses can represent purity and clarity. So choose roses that align with your work goals and your intentions. Now, gifts and appreciation for our corporate world, roses are easy. They are easy to use to show our appreciation and gratitude. Now, a single rose or maybe a small bouquet can certainly convey positive feelings and strengthen professional relationships. What about inspiration and creativity at work? Yep, surround yourself with roses, right? When engaging in creative tasks. Just the presence of the flowers is believed to stimulate creativity and inspire fresh ideas. All right, wellness breaks. We all need them. Take little short breaks at work to enjoy the beauty of roses. Whether you have maybe a small garden at your workplace or one that's like close by that you can walk to, even just a floral arrangement in the office. Taking a moment to appreciate nature will always help refresh our minds and improve our focus. Gesundheit. Did you just sneeze? What about meeting enhancements? Yeah, roses could work there too. They can be a centerpiece during, on the conference table. They can add just a touch of elegance to the environment to create that positive impression again. All right, self-care at work. Just like those wellness breaks, we can incorporate roses into our own self-care routines at the corporate office. For example, you can use rose-infused hand cream, maybe. You can keep a small sachet of dried rosebuds for a quick, aromatherapy break, or even enjoy maybe a cup of rosebud tea during your break. Now, motivation and goal setting, we definitely can utilize the symbolism of roses here to set and visualize goals. And I know those are well needed at the office. For instance, like create a vision board with images of roses to represent your professional aspirations. But we can also use roses for celebrations and milestones at the office. These are going to be, decorating our workspaces during the celebratory moments, just to add that festive and joyful touch and just remind everybody how much they are loved and valued. Now, I know I mentioned colors just a little bit ago. That really does matter when working with, anything in our practice, of course, but certainly with flowers and roses, because working with plant magic and using different colors within it is definitely going to bring even more energy to our practice. So red, associated with passion, energy, love, courage, and strength. It's often going to be used for our spells related to love, vitality, and personal power. Orange, this is going to represent creativity, enthusiasm, success, and joy. Orange is going to be used for our spells related to creativity, attraction, and definitely career success. Yellow, this is linked to intelligence, to communication, confidence, and clarity. Yellow is going to be used in spells involving mental clarity, communication, and boosting confidence. Now, green, this one is absolutely associated with nature, with growth, with healing, and prosperity. Now, green is often used for our spells that are going to be related to abundance, fertility, and just overall well-being. Now, blue, this represents kind of a calmness, right? And it's going to tap into intuition, into our wisdom and spiritual awareness. Now, blue is going to be used for our spells involving communication, inspiration, and spiritual development. Now, purple really is linked to a lot of mystery, to spirituality, intuition, and transformation. So purple is going to be used for our spells related to our psychic abilities, to our spiritual growth, and transformation. Now, pink, again, associated with love and compassion and emotional healing. Pink, again, is going to be that softer version of love. It's going to be used in our spells related to romantic love, self-love, and emotional healing. So we've also got brown. This is our stable, grounding color. It's our connection to earth. And brown is going to be used with a lot of our spells related to stability, to our home, and more practical matters. And we've got black. This is widely associated with protection, with banishing, and absorption of negative energy. And black is going to be used in our protective spells, of course, but it's important to note that it's not a negative color. I know a lot of people think you're always, trying to banish negativity, but black itself is not a negative color. And then we've got white. White is our purity, our clarity, spirituality, and this is often going to be used in our spells of purification, healing, and spiritual guidance. Now, when working in this, green area of witchcraft, and of course directly with the earth element, right? We're getting our hands dirty, we're getting in the dirt. We're tapping into energies of stability, of grounding, fertility, abundance, and the physical world. Plant magic, whether you are or not a green witch, it's all about working with the earth's energy and getting our hands dirty in that physical touching of the plants that we are working with, that we are caring for and nurturing so they produce greenery and flowers and herbs that we can use in our practices. Now, if you are not used to doing this, or maybe you're just starting out, start small. Start with one rose plant in a pot, in your backyard or on your deck, on your back patio. Learn about it. How can you help it thrive? Then enjoy your partnership with it and watch the power in your own practice step up a level by using ingredients from a plant that you have nurtured, that you have helped grow to the beautiful, beautiful plant and flower that it is. All right, so roses and rosebud magic are first in my plant magic series. I hope this helped make your Valentine's Day a little more special and was helpful for your practice. Now, I did write a poem about roses, so if you would like to stay for that, I will be right back. All right, I've got my poem, and it goes. Rose of red, rose of white, add true love to my spell tonight. Carry it with strength and power to whom I've sent this witchy flower. Back to me bring his gaze, and bond our ties in the coming days. This witchy spell I trust with you. Tell his heart my thoughts are true. Rose of white and rose of red, use the wings my crows now spread. Take their flight to carry my spell with the whispers of love that I do tell. Well, I really appreciate you listening today and being a part of Witchy Work Wishes. Next week's episode is all about kitchen witchcraft, and this series is going to be started off with the art of baking magical bread. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend, and I'll talk with you next week. Thank you for joining me today at Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. For more information and additional content, please visit me online at witchyworkwishes.com. If you want to send me a personal note, please email me at info@witchyworkwishes.com. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Witchy Work Wishes.